Hello everyone and welcome to a new Guiding Platinum video. This is the third video in the series and today I dedicated the session to the Goal for the Eyes challenge. This is the build that we used. I focused on shotguns and my friend had the pole and I was hosting the game. That's the first thing that you want to do, or at least to try.
You know the drill. Hold this position, clear out enemy forces. Let's do it.
Is to host a weak points game like this. In fact, you'll see that many people tend to play this mission because it makes things so easy, at least for the host. So that's why my friend is using the pole. You know what my opinion on this gun is? In fact, he's using it because it can miss shots and it doesn't want that. That's why he's using a fast firing weapon, but I'll be focusing exclusively on shotguns and you'll see that it's damn efficient. It's basically the same build that my sub 15 gold solo with the Turian Havoc Trooper. And on many occasions you'll see that by combining our powers, the snap freeze debuff effect, we sometimes happen to kill big enemies in a few shots, and that's very impressive. So this was supposed to be a duo, but a third person joined in. And this was supposed to be a Juggernaut only game, but unfortunately it didn't choose the same character as we did. So, yeah.
We're tracking reinforcements.
So the observers are very easy to kill. You can kill them in one shot without even using snap freeze, thanks to the Crusader. I mean, it's so powerful.
We detected mission critical data. Find the location and upload the intel.
The first objective we got was upload, and the faction we are fighting against, you know, that is the Outlaw faction. So why not make a few comments about the Outlaw faction? For now, in the first two waves, there are 3 berserkers on the field for the first 2 waves, but in fact there's a cap on the number of berserkers you will fight in these waves. In the first wave, I think there are 6 berserkers total. You know, you see how the berserkers died quickly thanks to snap freeze 2 shots. And that's already a lot, you know, 5 observers. And the same goes with the Hydra. You'll see that if you manage to shoot the weak point at the top of the Hydra, especially when it's meleeing you, it's the perfect moment to do that. Then you'll see that it dies very quickly, as the observers do. So for the second wave, the number of berserkers is 9. Please refer to my budget testing video to see how I did that. We had to separate basically because otherwise it would have been impossible to deal with all the enemies at the same time, so that's why my friend went on another area and I stayed in this area because that's the most difficult one to take, actually. It's very open and the enemies can come from everywhere, as you can see, so you have to, you know, focus on this one first, and I chose to stay there instead of my friend simply because I'm more experienced than he is. You know, I have more survivability skills than he does, so he's not used to soloing, for instance. I mean, never soloed a gold game. You see how quick the Hydra died, and that was not our purpose, but I think we even managed to reach the budget for both the Berserkers and the Hydra. In a team game, that's the first thing you want to do if you have an objective, you know, like hack or upload. Oh no, there's another Hydra, so we didn't reach the budget, but still, we killed a few, so I think there are 3 Hydras. Yeah, there are 3 Hydras in this wave, so that's probably the third one. Anyway, that's also the last time we have so many observers on the field. Next wave there's only 3 of them. And yeah, if you don't shoot the weak point of the observer, then it takes longer to die, but once you manage to find the weak point, you can kill them in one shot. You see, usually I need 2 shots before I find the correct shot, but sometimes it happens that I can kill them in one shot. I actually counted. It's the 3rd observers I killed in 3 shots. I mean, each time it's 1, 2, 3. So, welcome to you, human infiltrator. You could have been a Juggernaut though, but still. Infiltrator, let me tell you a few things about them. I never played them in team gameplay because the problem with the infiltrators is that they troll other players. If you're not used to using infiltrators in a team as teamwork, not as, the lone wolf type of gameplay, then if you're playing as a team, you need to know things like don't go invisible when the Hydra is shooting you, just, find another way. But the problem is that you troll other players very, very, very rapidly, especially enemies like, the Ascendant or Destroyers. Destroyers are so unfair when someone goes invisible. So yeah, focus on the Hydra. Thanks to the bonus on weak points, it's very easy to make the Hydra blinds. So in this wave, I'm not sure about what the wave budget for the Berserkers is. In my opinion, I think that there's an unlimited number of Berserkers, so it's preferable to focus on the Hydra whenever you can. But again, the Berserkers are very, easily dealt with. Thanks to the Piranha, I have this ability not to miss my shot, but the Crusader is very effective as well. That's also the last wave with the Observer, unfortunately, in fact, because the Anointed replaced the Observers. It's more difficult to shoot at the Anointed's weak point. Always remember, when you use the Piranha, it's like you're taking pictures. I already made the comparison in another video, but I think that's a nice comparison because that's how I see it. So that's how I focus on the weak point, I don't know, I think it's easier than the Crusader. The Crusader is fine, but sometimes, stability or something like this makes you miss your shots. Oh shit, that was the Berserkers. So yeah, that's something you don't want. Devices and Berserkers at the same time. They will keep on throwing flak cannon at you, and that will prevent you from completing the objective. So whenever there's the Berserker, either you get rid of them as quick as possible, or you just try to kite them away from the objects. As I said about this build in another video, a gold solo in fact, it's easier to find weak points with the Crusader, but that doesn't mean that it's impossible to do the same thing with the Piranha. The Piranha is very useful. Objects is easier, in fact. Devices can be really, really frustrating when there's enemies like Berserkers next to you. This one, come on Hydra, this one is different. And you have more time, so you need not worry about time at all. Well, not as much as for devices. That was the big change they did with devices. It used to be like retrieval. Unfortunately, some players said it is too easy, and BioWare heard that, so they decided to patch the game, and they made hack like upload. I don't know what kind of players they were talking to when they made these changes, but obviously not the majority of players. So the fifth wave is a wave that can be very long, except if you focus fire on the Hydras, because there's a limited number of Hydras. Or the Saboteur as well. Look at this, the Saboteur, the Sharpshooter, kill them in one shot with the Crusader. Can you realize this? Can you do this with the Paw? Again, you can't. That's very impressive. This build is so damn effective. Look at this, there's not even shield gate. This gun goes through shield gate. I mean, I can... Oh my giddy aunt. That's so impressive. I know I'm the one playing, but I'm not impressed at the player. I'm impressed at the gun, okay? I think I could have played better than this. It's just that I want people really to use this gun when, you know, when they go on a weak point mission, because that's so effective, and that's a perfect way, you know, to make the most of the budget composition of Platinum. It's all about experience and, you know, experience points. So the more enemies you kill on objective waves, the higher your score will be. So in the end, it's preferable to use, you know, weapons that can deal with the enemy very, very, very quickly, so that you can, you know, try to make the most of the wave budget. Once the hydras are gone, the wave should go quicker. But be very careful about these damn saboteurs. You can kill them in one shot, yeah, but they can kill you in 3. That doesn't change. Especially when there are 3 of them, you know, they can just kill you in one shot each, so be very careful. Well, they don't really tend to do that. Usually if one is shooting, the other is hiding, and another is doing its finger thing. Energy drain, in fact. So yeah, I don't know. It depends. The saboteurs are sometimes quite unpredictable, but you see that they tend to stick together because they are more effective like this. The 6th wave was targets. Best objective ever. Easy, damn easy. Things could have been very, very different with upload or something like this, but it's hard to test the budget for these waves. So I'm not sure about whether there's a cap on certain enemies or not. I don't know, probably the Ascendant, I don't know. I never try to focus fire on it because it's, you know, the only new enemy in this wave. Oh, I don't think there's any saboteurs now. That's one big change, at least. So as you see, we don't necessarily focus on the targets. We don't want to speedrun the thing, in fact. We just want to play for experience, especially for my friend, because as far as I'm concerned, my Juggernaut is level 20. So I don't care about leveling up. And my bonus stats were already at maximum, I think. So it was not necessary for me to, you know, to grind for experience. But my friend is still grinding, so started the game early this year in January. I mean, we were playing for the New Year's Eve together, and this was one of these first time he was playing. So that's why he's still grinding. But I've been playing since day one, so yeah. And I don't know, this build is damn effective. There are so many builds that work with the Juggernaut, because the Juggernaut, thanks to damage resistance and thanks to his excellent remnant armor, can work on Platinum, whatever the build you choose. But there are builds that, in my opinion, are more effective than others. And focusing on Snap Freeze instead of Shockwave is the first thing you want to do, in my opinion, if you want to deal quick damage. And again, that's something I already said in my smart builds video, but why not repeat it? Snap Freeze has a debuff effect, especially on enemies with armor. Enemies that usually are very boring. And using Snap Freeze, as I just did on the Berserker and on the Anointed, will allow you to kill them quicker. So if you're playing for score, if you're playing to be the first, in the score table at the end, then do that, okay? And stop using the board, please. Especially if you're hosting. If you're not a hosting, I can understand this, but if you're hosting, you're not making the most of the character you have in your hands. I mean, look at this. It's very easy to kill enemies with this build. even the Ascendant, or this beautiful Hydra. Well, someone used a rocket against it, but that's what's not necessary. And in fact, the only time I use Shockwave is either to detonate my cryo combo once the snap freeze debuff effect is wearing off, or when someone is priming the enemy with, I don't know, Incineration or even the Cobra, then I use Shockwave to detonate the fire combo before I use snap freeze. I mean, that's perfectly logical, ain't it? In the end, it took us like 15 minutes, 3 players. Well, if my friend, the one that joined in wave 3, had used Juggernaut, I believe we could have, done better than this, especially because we had targets and we lost time on, grinding for experience. Anointed, Hydras, and the Ascendants. That's what the wave is made of. I mean, what is interesting with the Outlaw faction is that, in spite of the number of Berserkers recurring every single wave, it's interesting to see that the more you progress through the waves, the more you forget about the Berserkers, because the Anointed or the Ascendant will make your life so tougher. Then in the end, the Berserkers are not the first thing you should worry about. It's only armor, remember that. It's like the brutes. So that was a Platinum trio that was supposed to be a duo. I turned it into a guide for weak points and how to use an efficient build with the Human Juggernaut, Snap Freeze, and Shotguns. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. You can also share this video or any video you want. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one. Bye.